Welcome everyone, Akasha here. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Infinite Show. Today we have another amazing guest. So I'm so excited with this series. We've been exploring all kinds of different ways for us to understand the energy and receive guidance on how to navigate 2022. We've had a couple of pretty epic years and they've been pretty specific on go within, stay home, finish up. And 2022 is really different energy, big energy, movement energy, and we want to be ready. So here's a list of people that you can check out. Everything's here on YouTube, and just check below. There'll be a link for our beautiful guest, Amy, today. There'll be a link on how you get your gifts. There'll be a link on the whole list, the whole playlist of these. So this one, I'm so excited about Amy, and she's going to talk to us today about releasing burnout and depletion and how to enjoy this year. What a unique idea. And next, you're going to enjoy Joan of Angels, or Dr. Joan Hangarter. She's got her angel cards, which she painted 33 angels in 30 days. And we're going to do some readings with those. And she's going to really talk about this moment as the call to awaken. And I'm going to wrap up the series on how to connect to your future self for optimal guidance. So this is Joan. She's coming next. That's me then. And here's our beautiful Amy today. So I'm super excited about Amy. I've known Amy for a little while now. She's been in my classes. We've done some private work together. And she's one of those unique people who has learned and embodied so much. And I'm constantly impressed with her wisdom and her ability to take her brilliant mind to organize and create something from what she's learned and be connected. So she's a 20-year award-winning coach who's shared the virtual stage with Dr. Bruce Lipton and Jack Canfield. That's pretty awesome. She uses her wise woman archetype, energy medicine, soul profile readings, and chakra knowledge with her life mastery coaching to guide women to connect to their feminine wisdom and inner guidance. She helps them shift out of stagnation, isolation, and exhaustion and become a conscious, loving powerhouse. How awesome is that? I want to be a conscious, loving powerhouse. That's a great statement. Amy specializes in liberation, yay, freedom, from the curse of not enough. Woo, boy, I lived in that most of my life. And the myth of hard work pays off. Woo, good Midwesterner here. Work hard, suffer, suffer, suffer. Burnout and depletion. And she's the author of Self-Care Before Sit-Ups and Wake Up Women, Be Happy, Healthy, and Wealthy, and co-hosted the health talk show, radio show, Living Your Personal Best. So Amy has an amazing free gift for us today. Again, make sure you go to nanakasha.com, get on the list. We're going to send you the reminders. You'll know when we go live, you'll get all the gifts, and make sure you check below if you're watching this on YouTube. So this free gift is going to be awesome. And this is a little bit about it. It's called Take 10 Nourishing Practices to Beat Burnout and Emotional Exhaustion. And it's an amazing idea. What the part I love is without quitting your job, isolated from family and friends, or staying stuck in the fear of the unknown. So you're going to get your biggest blind spot that's sabotaging your happiness and success, the number one reason for emotional burnout that no one is talking about. So there's some really juicy secrets in this. Make sure you get this. How to bridge the whole you so you can have the breakthrough that you're waiting for. Oh, aren't we having the breakdowns now? How to rise and live above insecurities, doubt, anxiety, fear that is having you feel empty, alone, and unfulfilled. And this is so important because we have got to stop living that old paradigm of self-judgment and self-criticism and rise out of that so we can really hold the energies that are coming in now, and we can be, not just so we can be happy and be in light, which we do, but so that we can actually create something new. And how to unlock inner peace in the midst of life chaos. So here's where you find Amy, amylundberg.com. All right, so thank you so much for joining me today, Amy.
Oh, thank you, Nan. Appreciate it. This is fun.
Yeah. So I'm so excited that you're here. I do have a lot of respect for you. I really enjoy you. I enjoy your sincerity, your earnestness, your passion for your personal work as well as the work you do with others. So share a little bit about how you ended up doing this work.
Oh, yeah. Ugh, okay. Like, okay.
Her messy path of burnout.
Yes. You know what? I started coaching. It's called Fitness by Phone Coaching, and it was back in 1999 before anyone knew what coaching was. And I loved the idea because I was just having babies then, and I was personal trainer, and they were early mornings and after work hours, and raising two little ones. I just wasn't figuring out how to do that. So I got into the coaching world then, and started my own business there, and did intuitive eating back in the early 2000s. Then what else did I do? Yeah, I did a lot of that. And then I didn't realize I was burnt out. I just felt like a failure because I kept trying and trying and trying, and had an expectation of where I thought I would be at this time. And I wasn't meeting it. I had, I think I had 3 kids at that time. And so I took a year off. 2010, I calls my year of sabbatical, where I completely took off, and just like, what do you want me to do, Lord? Or, whatever your Lord of understanding is, but I use the word Lord, God. And so I took a year off, and I was laughing, belly laughing, having a good time, letting it all go. And all of a sudden I had this feeling to kind of pick it back up. And I'm like, really? Like, I thought maybe I'd have this aha where, a whole new career would start. And so I did. And I knew this adrenal fatigue was big. And as a personal trainer, I started in physical therapy as a rehab aide for the physical therapists. And then I went into personal training, went into intuitive eating. So I got the emotional thinking and the physical, but I go, there's a spiritual aspect of this too, but I couldn't figure out it. But one of the pieces that I learned through, his name was Paul Chek out of San Diego, hardcore, just nuts and bolts guy, but he brought in the spirituality of all of this. And he was talking, the adrenal fatigue is a slow death. He goes, you die from it. And I was like, what? This is what all my personal training clients, intuitive eating, the go, the adrenals is there. This is the mother lode of truly healing from the physical standpoint. And so I was like really looking into this and understanding more of that. And so I went into nutritional endocrinology and studied the hormones, and got into the HPA axis and how the adrenals work and the physical piece of it and how to help them. And then it led to Hashimoto's and thyroid and all the autoimmune. And I was like, so then, Nan, I'm kind of like you. I like the fluff. Not the fluff, but I don't like that like memorization for me. Like the doctoring, I got to memorize these herbs go with this, and these supplements with this, and you got to do this sequence. And I was like, no, that's not me. I just knew it, but I knew this knowledge would help. So I studied it, knew it, and then again got burnt out because I was trying to be somebody I wasn't, trying to be this big functional medicine kind of coach to help people with the adrenal fatigue. And I go, this isn't it. And I got burnt out again, keeping trying and trying and trying. And the story leads to what I'm going to come up with. But just like those that are listening, can you relate to this? Keep trying, and then you go a different path, but you keep trying, go a different path, but you're using the same angst that pushes you, forces you, or that inner drive that you have, that you want to fix it, finish it, learn it, achieve it, or whatever the goal is. Does it make sense?
Very common. Yeah, it's very common. I've probably mentioned this in class, right? I would say, oh, and then I realized, oh, I shifted out of don't do things you don't love, or don't, some big, huge idea shift. But then I went at the next level with the old patterns.
Yes.
Long hours and hard work, and have
and it's still that slow drip with the adrenals. Still the slow drip. We haven't shifted. Yeah. So then I was And money has always been my thing. There's always, relationship, money, career, health. So, we all have our journey that there's one piece that really kind of propels us through the journey, spiritual journey. Mine for a long time was money and success. So I was like, what's wrong with this money thing? And why can't I make money with all this knowledge I have and all the things I'm doing? And I keep learning. And so that whole parameter of mantra that I was trying to figure out. And so then this was about 2013, 2014, I decided to go into energy medicine. And I poo-pooed energy medicine, the chakra stuff. I've been a yoga instructor for 20 some years, but I was all about the physical and like the postures for physical fitness. I wasn't going to do the chakras. And I say, everyone, never say never. Okay. I know you've heard this. I'm repeating it again. Never say never. So I'm finding myself like, okay, I wanted to learn these soul profiles because this was a spiritual piece I felt that I was missing in my practice and in my ability to help people, is really understanding soul energy. And the soul profiles hit that knowledger in me that wants to learn. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. So I ended up flying. I live in Minnesota, Midwestern, hard worker, flying to the Boston every 7 weeks for the first year to study the soul profiles. Well, the school was Reese Thomas Institute, and he had a 3-year program. And I was like, I thought, I'm one and done. I'm done. I'll get what I need and leave. I ended up going all 3 years and really embodying the chakras and really feeling what our chakras are meant to feel like in our core versus what happens when our chakras and when we're in defense. And this to me was the spiritual piece to really helping women relieve the burnout, because we got the physical. You may be doing the yoga, the cleanses, getting the sleep, you're taking the supplements, the magnesium, the D3, and doing all the right things to help you physically, but you I call it the burnout cycle, where you get well, but you still all of a sudden hit another piece. Something else triggers you in your life, and then you go back into that cycle. And so doing that, the emotional and mental piece was what I learned through these soul profiles, and did a lot of this full spectrum energy healing. And really, I'm trying to implement burnout into my story, but just the cycle of burnout, trying to do the same things, but the soul profiles, these 5 energies, as I've been taught, is that there's 5 types of soul energies that are born here on Earth. And it's not your personalities, like they'll have other people. I've had human design done. I just had my light gene codes done. I did my human design back in 25 years ago. I was kind of amazed.
Holy, wow.
I know. I was like, I had no idea. I was like, no one, I thought, I don't know what this, it was fascinating, but now it's really popular. And I'm like, I did that 25 years ago. So I pulled it all out. But there's so many, the Enneagram, there's so many cool things to help you learn about yourself, and they all help. But the soul profiles, to me, is the creme of all of it, because you can narrow it down to 5. You don't, that human design thing, to memorize that and know what all that means, is overwhelming. So what I do find with my clients with burnout, we have a secondary profile, and that is the profile we live and run by. And we get moments of living in our core, but we never know how to go fully into our core soul profile. So by running the secondary, we keep pushing and pushing and never really feeling whole, we have moments of it, but never really helping ourselves feel truly true to ourselves until we can shift into this total soul energy that you are here on Earth to be and to embody and to embrace. And we learned how to deviate from all of this when we're young, because we wanted to be loved, accepted, appreciated, cherished. So, for me, the soul energy that I have is charismatic leader. I'm a leader. But to get along with my family, farm workers, I needed to be, my knowledgeable achiever was task orientated, do what you're told. I was a good girl. I did all that. So my KA is like, learn it, and do it right. You didn't want to get in trouble from the, mom and dad, or break something, or whatever happens on the farm. Lots of things happen on the farm. Anyway, so I was always trying to be the good girl, and I lived my life trying to be the good girl, trying to do the right thing, fix. And I love to learn. An algebra achiever loves to learn. But here's the thing: I meant to be a leader. And as a farmer, growing up the farm, dad, in most families, dad is number one. So when you had an idea or wanted to share and lead in some way, it got shot down. In school with, friends too, when you had an idea, but, maybe got shut down. So it always, shot down. And not until I embodied that leadership within me, that I was able to relieve the burnout and recognize when I go into that fixing, trying to achieve, that I just get into that burnout, overwhelm, isolate, procrastination, because I want to do it perfect. All that whole stuff really is embodying the wrong secondary profile, not your core. Am I making any sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know, and I love Reese, and we've had him on the show, and I knew him before he wrote that book, and and like you said, I really enjoy that system. And part of this, like burnout and depletion, is being somebody you're not, or trying to be what you think everyone else wants, or trying to be perfect in their mind rather than listening to our own inner blueprint, our own inner strengths, and so on. And that has been, pretty much across the globe, a survival kind of mindset that's been what we've lived in, the paradigm we're living in. And what's so interesting about right now, not just 2022, but the next decade and beyond, is the age of Aquarius is about mind and technology. It's about we're one, but it's not about lose your identity, we're one. It's not about blend into the crowd, we are one. It's embody your unique truth. And
Yes.
remember, we're all that way. Yeah.
And when you do, the burnout will just naturally leave, and your joy comes back, your peace comes back, that love, deep love comes back. All these pieces, your joy comes back, that we have moments of. But when we can really embody that wholeness, this Aquarius energy of like being one, but first be one with you, and just naturally, it just naturally occurs, being one with others, if that makes sense. But that's the burnout. And the burnout, then you come into the chakras, and you feel your way through. I can't tell you what your charismatic leader, knowledgeable achiever, these are two profiles, but they're common. Team player is another one. You want to be in defense as a people pleaser, caretaker. But when you want to embody your core, it's a feeling. It isn't like I can tell you and give you a book and you read it and you try to do it. It's really like embodying a feeling within. And that is when those chakras are open and you're honoring your whole mass, letting go of the ego, letting go of the attachments, letting go of the expectations, letting go all that stuff that I know you teach, and many of the other beautiful people that you've had on teach, is really letting that all go, because that just kind of helps you come in alignment with yourself. And when you talk about being in alignment with yourself, it is living in your core soul energy. And like when we deviate from that, so in the chakras, we learn the chakras, and we have these vows that are in these chakras and block the chakras. And a lot of people will say, oh, those Amy, those limiting beliefs. And I'm like, actually, I believe they're much more ingrained than a limiting belief, because limiting belief you can release, but the vows are like almost like a trauma response in the central nervous system. They're really glued in there. And so one of my common ones is like, for my people pleasers and team player profiles, is they're caretakers at heart, but they people please, and they always have a smile on their face. And so the vow is, I vow to always smile. But then you don't allow yourself to be angry, disappointed, frustrated, or show it. So the limiting belief would be, I'll never get angry. But the vow is, I vow to always smile. There's a difference in there, because no one really thinks to smile is a vow, but some may have encountered, that person may have encountered where they're always going to smile no matter how hurt or disappointed or angry or frustrated they are. Does that make sense? So you go in, and that's the mask, that's the defense that you live by, and then you're trying to people please, and feeling you're doing the right thing, and you're putting a smile on your face, but yet you are not honoring your true self. And so the vow is to release that. And so one of the common freedom statements is, I'm open to honoring my feelings, feeling my feelings. It's safe to be angry. It's safe to be frustrated, whatever that is for you. But that's what I do. And then I switch them to what is the opposite of that, and start saying that to yourself, and then experiencing it.
Yeah.
And then how does that feel in the body? I mean, to really you just feel like the weight off the shoulders when you can really dislodge these vows that are impacted in the central nervous system and the blocks the chakras.
Yeah. And what's so vital about the chakras is that I think some people think, oh, chakras, I know what those are, whatever. And it's like, well, I'm doing this chakra class. And I thought, really? Chakras? Okay. And it was like, no, you got to realize that this is a core center of our spiritual anatomy. And that we're going faster. There's more frequencies coming in. There's more energies. The sun's, emitting more powerful energies that have codes and information for us to absorb and understand. More people are accessing other realms and having spontaneous, whatevers. And that's a raising of the vibrational frequency. And if we're carrying like what you call these vows, and we're blocked in these chakras, which are supposed to be having energy come in and go out, and they handle all the hormones and glands and the endocrine system in the body, it's vital that we strengthen that. And these vows you talk about, I would probably call that a soul wound, right? An agreement that we made, and usually some other life or many lives that we brought in intentionally this time. And it feels really, really heavy. And we create a lot of things in our life up to a certain age based on those. And sometimes it's like, oh, I want to get, and I do think limiting beliefs are a part of it, but they come from that vow.
Yes.
They aren't that vow. So that if you're like, I have a limiting belief that I'm never good enough, so I have to overachieve all the time, therefore I'm a people pleaser, those are clues, right? To what that vow or energy might be in the chakra.
And then the knowledgeable achiever, how one of the ways that I find what the core wound of the soul is, can define the soul. The knowledgeable achiever's core wound is not good enough. No matter what, they're not good enough. Versus the team player's core wound is abandonment. So they'll never want to be abandoned. So they will, people please and make sure they're there for them, or whatever that is. So there is these unbelievably core wounds that just activate these vows, that blocks these chakras, that allows the adrenals not to be, that are constantly piping out that cortisol when at age 40, or when it's just been a slow drip, like if you're a driven woman, successful family, all of that, or whatever that is for you, that's just that drive. It's just that slow, constant drip. And so therefore you kind of have that breakdown, but it all comes from the core wound, living the secondary profile. And then you have these chakras that are blocked with these vows that we live by, these are the invisible barriers that I call about. And then the main defense, whatever. So for me, it was betrayal, because I'm a charismatic leader, but I never felt betrayed by anybody. I was like, I don't feel that, but I betray myself all the freaking time. All the time. And then I always thought it was not good enough, because I've always felt, many of us always feel not good enough.
I think it's the number one thing.
Yeah. But the knowledgeable achiever embodies the not good enough. It's really, I mean, people can have it, but the knowledgeable achiever in their defense, just that perfectionist comes in really, or the procrastination. There's a pendulum. Procrastination or perfectionism. but that's the core wound. And there's, the
What are the
fears.
other ones? What are the other? So you have,
Um,
you said the
the
knowledgeable achiever and
the
the
knowledgeable achiever's
caretaker.
core wound is not good enough. The charismatic leader's wound is betrayal. The team player is abandonment. And then the emotional intelligence specialist is rejection. And then the creative idealist is fear. So that's the creative idealists are those that are just have these beautiful gifts of getting downloaded of like poetry and art, and they're actually IT. A lot of IT people are creative, how they put the numbers, and it's just they're just fascinating people. But I get a lot of CL creative, charismatic leaders, creative idealists. So they have these business ideas or these artwork or something they want to put in the world, but they have such fear. And so they don't, but they have this charismatic leader that kind of got that in them to like, let's do it. But they have to overcome the fear and really take that lead, and having the charismatic leader help lead that creativity out there into the world.
Yeah. It's interesting when I first time I met Reese, we were at dinner, and we were talking across a bunch of people because we were just like, oh, we spoke the same language, we're like, and he pulled a couple people up out of, it was like a mastermind, and he put them on in front of us, and then he went through and said, here's a charismatic leader, here's a this, here's a that. So, and he's like, I've just been watching you. He didn't ask anybody any questions. He just knew the profiles that well, and boom, boom, boom. And I don't know what he said, what my secondary one was, but I remember him telling me, I've never met a charismatic leader and who's a healer. Now, this was quite a few years ago, so I'm thinking that probably has changed now, but he was stunned at the depth of my healing knowledge and experience or whatever. And he's like, but you're a charismatic leader and blah, blah, blah. And what's so funny about it was at the time, of course, I knew that I was at this mastermind because, I was putting myself out there. However, I couldn't get through speech class in school. I hated being put on the spot. I would turn red and I would like choke, and I was like, whatever. And so if you think you're not one of these and you really are, it may have to come out. It wasn't until I learned meditation that I thought, I have to teach this. I have to teach this. And I would get up and just look stupid and feel embarrassed. Yeah. Until I got better and better and better. And I was driven within, absolutely driven within. And now you could just throw me on stage in 2 seconds and I'll be like, woo! But man,
that's your charismatic leader. But that it's shoved down. It's shoved down.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like telling everyone, like, just look at. So one of the ways to like look at what's holding back the vows, if any of these core wounds that I just mentioned, you're like, oh, wow, look at that. And then like, how can I just live into this, my whole self, and have the courage to stay forward? And one of the, you just gave a beautiful example is vulnerability. And I know you teach it, you teach it all the time. One of the ways to heal is to be vulnerable, especially for a charismatic leader, is to go out there and be vulnerable. And just me, like I was just telling everyone before Nan and I hopped on, I was like, I haven't spoken in this for an entire year. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to show up and be in this unknown and start talking and just trust. And so I'm like learning the betrayal that I always say is I don't trust myself. I'm trusting, stepping into the unknown, trusting the knowledge I have is going to come out, even though I may not know exactly how I'm going to say it or how it's going to come out. Or, I had it in my head a different way. This was, something else to teach. And I'm like, no, we're just going to go with this. But this is my story of how, and how the adrenal burnout, and how one of the most healing pieces was just to learn this soul energy that I have and be vulnerable to step into it and lead myself. And I'll say this too, the emotional intelligence specialist is another profile. And I'll say they're the Mother Teresa's, they are the Pope Francis, they are just the Princess Diana. There's some examples of some of these beautiful, soft, gentle-hearted, where they're just love, just they just embody love. And my charismatic leader, and many charismatic leaders have that flair of just gentleness about them. So I lovingly lead people or myself to whatever their mastery is, or whatever they want to achieve, whatever they want to create. And that is something new that I would never have put together. And so look at yourself and like, what are you lovingly wanting to step into? Where are you willing to be? Where do you absolutely don't want to be vulnerable in? That's a place to go. That's your soul going, well, you might want to try that. Where do you feel absolutely paralyzed of fear? And how can you take a baby step and show up and do create some? If it's painting, maybe see if your library would be able to post your painting out there, or putting it out, poetry, and putting it out there. I have a gal that writes these beautiful prayers, just comes to her, and she's always kept it a secret. And we're like, what? Are you kidding me? So now one of her friends asked if she would write a prayer for this gal, not knowing anything about this gal, just tuned in and wrote this beautiful prayer. So she's stepping out in small ways of sharing her gift of writing these prayers and making them into cards.
I have to say that I live with one of those. Chris is an emotional intelligence expert, and I wouldn't have known that. But again, at that same meeting, he was the one that Reese pulled out of the audience to put up on the stage. And he just walks up and he goes like this to Chris, "This is what we all want to become." And I was like, whoa, yeah. Chris,
yes.
He's so that loving. Subtly, he's just sort of like, oh, thank you. There's not that big ego, like, oh yeah, look at me. It's just like,
no. And I've got the little bit of the big ego where I want to be the I got a little edge. But the EISs don't have it. They don't. They're just the gentlest. They would never hurt a fly.
No, just so much love.
Shoot them. Here in Minnesota, the EISs will, get the mosquito out of the house versus charismatic leaders like,
oh no, not me. I don't kill anything. When my kids were little, and they do now. So it just absolutely freaks me out, because I'm like, I didn't raise you to do that. But as soon as they went to school, they saw the kids stepping on bugs, but we would pick it up. And we even had scorpions in Texas, and we would trap it under a glass and scoop it up. And I would say, now we're going to take it outside because they have to go find their mom and dad and go to the fair and have a life, and all
you are a healer. Oh, wow. Yes. Yeah. I still have a little edge on me, but yeah. And then another thing I wanted to mention, Nan, is just this COVID fatigue too, of just all that, how that's just affecting the adrenals. I'm getting a lot of people coming in. I'm just doing stress release healings on them. So I wanted to make sure to mention that too, that we might be just keep going and going and going. And the little things are still triggering you and we don't even realize it. Just really the self-care nowadays. And I think, you'll get it too. The self-care isn't about the yoga and the cleanses and getting the walks in and being in the sunshine. The self-care is really looking in at your thought process and your emotions and coming to a deeper healing in that. That could be the shadow work. It can, your classes, your soul awakening class was amazing. Anyone I would just want to recommend, go grab her soul awakening class that she did with the upper chakras. That was another thing that really shifted my energy out of burnout too. But they connecting to those higher chakras up there. Anyways, but pay attention to that in playfulness. Where can you play? What can you do to help yourself relax? What can you do to laugh? If you are, I went to Minneapolis. We were going to go to the Van Gogh Institute, and up in the upper Minnesota, I'm very fortunate. I've worn the mask 3 times.
Oh, wow.
that is, I know that's what everyone says. Oh, wow. I mean, it was to the orthodontic clinic and the hospital when I had to take my boys in for their physicals for school sports. So rarely if I had to, so it's very different for me. But when I went down to the cities, you had to have your vaccination card, which I'm not vaccinated. I didn't know you had to have the vaccination card. Couldn't go into the restaurants. And I was kind of traumatized by it. I'm like, what? Because I feel like my freedom, my choices, all that got taken away. And without me knowing, I didn't do my research that the community is like that. I looked the websites, they didn't say it. They didn't say that you need your vaccination card. So I thought I didn't think to look any more research on it, but I did the adrenalines just snapped like that. My little fiery edge got up. How dare I not get to do what I want? Just all that old stuff rose up again. And so it really, like, I couldn't sleep that night, and I could just feel the adrenals just pop in and want to fight. I just wanted to fight. And I'm like, holy cow, I had no idea this was still resonating in my body. So naturally, so I worked on the method meditation that I'm going to share with you guys, and did my own healing and was able to finally release it. But there's a lot of triggers. So I was like, okay, well, this is good. Triggers are my treasures. So let's go in and see what's triggering me.
That's awesome. Triggers.
But that whole COVID, I thought I had released a lot of it. And then I would put myself in a particular environment that I wasn't used to. And that fight, fright, or flee came right up on me. And I was ready. For me, it was about a battle. I was ready to battle. And that's the defense that depletes those adrenals fast. And how do I get back in my core of just being what is, acceptance, allowing, making the best of what the situation offers. And we did, but it took me a good 12 hours to shift it.
And it's interesting. I like how you put that, the COVID fatigue or whatever, because mentally, for sure, people are going, I'm exhausted. One of my clients told me the other day, I've been home for 2 years with my husband, every day, all day long. And I love him, but oh my God. Right. Or, just all these ideas and people, you can travel, but you have to have certain things. And so, whatever your belief system around it is, everything that's happening underneath, it's all good. We're breaking down, whatever. The drama and the trauma and the story and the things like that is like, how dare you tell me you can't take my freedoms away? And what are you doing? And I'm not and that, wherever you stand on that conversation, pay attention to those triggers, because if you're carrying that, like, I have to fix this, or that's not right, then you're getting into that polarized energy.
Yes.
And that's just building. You want to unhook from that. You want to emotionally master that and be able to see, like you did, like, oh, there it is. And then do whatever tools you have to unhook from it, because it's gone on a while. And it's going to keep going on a while, not like diseases and all that. Exactly.
No, just the energy of it.
Just energies and the way that we live being very different now. So,
and I feel like this is going to help us get to a place of peace within ourselves if we work on, I don't want to say work, but if we allow ourselves to see the trigger, look within, and how can I release, as you say, unhook, let go, and just come to that place of peace, acceptance, and making the best of the situation. Because it's just the energy is still there. The energetics of it is still all around us. And so really looking at the self-care to help ourselves. So one of the things with the adrenal healing is just at the 6th and 7th chakra, you're going in and you're looking at the world vision of it. So whatever the situation is, can you just accept it and allow it? And then the energy will just pop out. You'll just be there. But if it doesn't, Then it's going to go down to the pituitary gland is going to go and ask the throat, which is the growth hormone and all that, the metabolic and stuff, and go in and speak up for yourself. So when I got there, I got to the ticket place, I asked for a refund. I can't change the system. I'm not going to fight the system, even though I was still kind of upset about it, but I stood up for myself. I go, it wasn't on the website, so can I get a refund? I did, and then boom, complete, went to peace. I was totally fine after that.
That's great.
But as long as I got my money back, but let's just say it doesn't. Whatever the situation.
You said that one of your things was money, so you can see
Yeah.
how the patterns were related.
Yeah, and I knew it. I was like, why can't I let go of this? So, but I had to speak up for myself, and I did, and it released. But let's just say the situation, you speak up for yourself, you stay strong, and it doesn't. So then the pituitary gland is going to go in and ask the thymus, hit the immune system, and try to be in relationship with it. How can I stand here in relationship with it, accept it? Do I, whatever this relationship is with this, how can I let it go? And if that doesn't work, then the pituitary gland is going to go and ask the spleen. And in the spleen is where, or the pancreas is where we're going to like the bitterness or digest the situation, where we have to stand and be much more present in the situation, not just be in our heads trying to process and think our way out of it, but we have to stand in it and really hold our ground and maybe create a boundary, or stand the ground and ask for that refund, or ask for another friend, when she goes to the dental, she won't wear a mask, so she just stands there and says, well, do you have a back door so I can get my teeth cleaned? And she stands firm, she stands her ground, and yep, there's the back door. They'll let her in the back door and get her teeth cleaned, but she's standing in her presence and working from that place. Then if that doesn't work, then it's going to hit the testes and the ovaries and all of that. And then there's where you got to wrestle. You're going to what are you going to do about the situation? If you haven't come to acceptance, if you haven't let go, if standing and speaking your piece hasn't worked for you to get to your piece, if you're staying really present, you're still triggered, then you're wrestling with it. So, for me that night, I was wrestling, going, I can't let this go. Why can't I let this go? And trying to get to my peace. I'm wrestling with the situation, with all my vows, my limiting beliefs, all of that. And then the first chakra, if it still isn't letting go and you haven't put that strong physical boundary up, asking for your needs, sharing what you're really feeling about the situation, working all that, creating maybe a different path or a different, second chakra is creation too, asking for your needs, emotions, all of that. And then it's going to hit the adrenals in the first chakra. And that's where you can either fight, flee, or freeze. And from that point, you're going to physically fight it, because that's where I wanted to go into battle, so to speak, or whatever the situation is. But there you got to, there you really hit the adrenals, and they're really pouring out that cortisol all the time. However, if you got a job that you dislike, if you got a relationship that isn't really making you happy, it's not like you're processing that in the moment. It's just going to be a slow drip until you get to that point where you're just burnt out, physically exhausted, overwhelmed, tired, and you're working that endocrine system all day long. It's a drip, just slow drip all day long, and it's just depleting you. So where can you move up the chakras? Where can you move up that endocrine and heal that? So that, I do an endocrine healing. I'm sure there's a bunch of other healers out there that know how to do an adrenal particular healing to help get that all back in balance, so that you can make a decision or have clear thinking or create the boundary or something that will help eliminate those adrenals from being so fatigued.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That was a great way of understanding sort of the map and the different levels that you're at and what you're doing. So for burnout and adrenal fatigue, it's become so normal to be in adrenal fatigue in the fast-paced world, I suppose, unless you live in the Andes and meditate all day. So really pay attention, because I think what you said was really vital, that it's slowly killing us, right? We're depleting our body, and we're trying to achieve big things or hoping for certain results while we're not keeping ourselves in top shape. We're not really saying, okay, now I'm ready. So, okay, well, I think you have a little beautiful process.
Yes. So hopefully I kind of triggered some of you guys kind of thinking, you're like, what? getting the edge up maybe. But just kind of, if there's something that's coming to you that's kind of a stressful moment, just kind of tune in and actually feel it, feel the emotion of it, and allow yourself to really feel it. Not to push it down with our head or push it away, but really embody that fear, that anger, frustration, overwhelm, and maybe you might come to a point of tears. Allow that all to come out, and it just takes some deep breaths and feel into it. And then as you feel it, you don't have to hold on to it. You just need to feel it in the body for just a few seconds, and then come into your heart and just feel love for yourself and just embody that love and feel, I kind of imagine feeling that fourth chakra, that heart chakra, just really expanding, a deep, deep love for myself. And for some of you, like when I first started, especially if you're knowledgeable achievers, soul energy, it's hard to feel that. So I always say, feel love for your children. And once you can really feel that compassion and depth of love of your child. Just envision whatever picture comes to mind and feel it. And then I call it bait and switch, and then put yourself in that position, that same feeling. So it's kind of a little technique to just really embody love. And just breathe in that and expand. And let it expand deeper. Allowing that joyful inner child within you come out and feel her. And then once you're there, step into that light that's of your heart and of the higher universe, God of your understanding, and be with that presence in your heart, in that light with God, and allow God or the universe to really expand that light throughout. Let it go beyond your room that you're in, the building, the state, the country, and feel it expand throughout the whole planet. And as the universe is expanding this light through you, right in it, feel your worthiness, your love, your talents, your gifts. Bring in those gifts of healing, holding space, loving unconditionally, of truly being there for someone. You're singing, you're writing, your art, whatever that is for you, you're caring. Just bring in and really feel the worthiness within you. And let that expand. And you're going to share that with every person on the planet. Feel it go throughout your community, this energy, this love, this worthiness, this gifts, talents, all of it being spread, opening the hearts energetically throughout the planet. Let it go across oceans, across continents, from the North to the South Pole, and just feeling the presence and the gifts and the love that you've just taken in this moment, sharing it with everyone. And feeling, just seeing all those hearts light up and open up to their love within themselves. And then you're going to sit back and you're just going to receive all that love from them that just opened and coming to you. Receive their love. Receive the love, surrender, be open, surrendering, receiving, and being. Just love it, embracing it, being. And then you can just go ahead when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And just like allow that just to penetrate. And if you're not at peace quite yet, you just keep doing it over and over until you can get there.
I didn't want to open my eyes. It was like pouring in like a huge hole, that just opens and it just like a waterfall just coming. I was like, oh yeah, okay, bring it on. That was beautiful. Thank you, sweetie. Wonderful.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm so glad we pushed you out of your comfort zone and got you realigned to your charismatic leader. I've been asking you about this for a couple months, right? Several months. And then to find out you're a charismatic leader, I'm like, well, no, it's been fantastic. I love everything you've shared with us. It's quite amazing. So again, is there anything else you wanted to add to your beautiful gift for us? The Take 10, I think we.
Yeah, I just got a whole new website. There's under resources, there's a few others. The method is on there, the step-by-step meditation. So if you wanted to read the step-by-step, it's on there. There's a few other resources on there. And I think it just went live like just today, literally. So feel free to check in there too. I wanted to, just have things there for people to use. So just come to amylundberg.com and see what you like. Grab it.
Grab it. Oh, well, thank you so much, sweetie. This has been absolutely wonderful. And everything you've shared has been very, very valuable. I really appreciate it. So make sure you go find Amy and get a stress release session or adrenal or endocrine balance or explore what else she has to help you, because I think that there really isn't almost anyone that doesn't have some level of burnout and depletion, even those of us who do all of our meditation. For me, often what happens is as I'm teaching or working with clients or doing an interview or creating a new meditation. And so I'm constantly in this, I'm doing this spiritual work. And it becomes easy, although I really can't function without doing my own personal routine, right? Also. So for those healers and light workers out there that you're like, I'm doing this all day long. Okay, we got to put ourselves into a little slot. I'm a client today too.
Yeah. And that if you're interested in the stress relief healing, I can do a 1 session and it's pretty amazing. So get you all aligned if you were interested. Anyway, thanks, Nan. This was fun.
Yeah, see, it was awesome. Yay. And the timing is always just perfect. So, okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me again. Stay tuned. Next, we're going to have Joan of Angels. And in the meantime, make sure you go back through the series. There's so many different aspects, so many different ways, Feng Shui and astrology, Aztecs and Mayans and human design and Amy, and just all these different ways of looking at where we are, what's happening personally in your body, in your mind, in your emotions. Your purpose is awakening. You're in the perfect place in the perfect time. And this is a wonderful moment to be alive. Not only are we being gifted with this massively fast evolution, but we have more resources and more ways to connect with people than ever before. So thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Namaste. Thank you, Amy.